Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Huge Update Interviews, episode 16 I believe we're on now. It's me, Alistair McInnes, and I'm joined by my good host, Peter Morris. Say hello.
Hi guys.
And this week we are joined by the creators of Black Ice Game, Garrett Cooper and his lovely wife. Please say hello.
Hello.
Hi, yeah. Christine Forbes is her name.
Yes,
Christine.
hi.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm terrible with names. I always normally make the guest say their name.
Oh, sorry. I'm Christine.
So you guys basically have formed together to create SUPERDUPER Games, is that right?
SuperDuper Game Company, yes.
Yes, yeah. So how was that formed? What comes the inspiration behind starting this little games company with the two of you?
It was kind of born out of necessity, to be honest. We were getting to a point with our game where we wanted to start planning bigger and better things, and just in order to do that, you have to have a company so that other companies take you seriously. So
Right. And the name kind of came out of, so I go by SuperDuper Garrett Cooper a lot of the time, and
Love it.
and we wanted to keep the same website, which is SuperDuper GC, and so we made SuperDuper Game Company.
yeah, we got really lucky that it fit
Right.
perfectly. So.
That's
So we were we lived in California for 2 years, and that's when we started working on the game. And we were going to do the company out there, but it's really expensive in California to start a company. So we waited until we moved back to Texas, where it's much easier.
Better weather as well, I imagine.
I think so. Yeah, I like hot summers.
Yeah, who doesn't really, you know?
Yeah.
My sunburn doesn't like it so much.
That's when there's after sun, though, isn't there, to help that issue?
Yeah. See, you should get some aloe vera.
Healing aloe vera. So anyway, back to games. Black Ice, the game, is your kind of flagship, isn't it? The first game you guys have created. How would you kind of sum it up in a sentence or two for people that don't know what it's about?
So Black Ice is a cyberpunk hacking game. It's a game where you're hacking corporate servers by shooting spiders in the face with like lasers and disco balls and stuff.
Nice.
So it's kind of like Borderlands meets Tron.
Nice. Very, very cool. So I was going to ask what was the inspiration behind Black Ice, but was it basically Borderlands on Tron, or were there other influences?
Well, that's probably the best way to describe it, but there are a ton of other influences, amongst which like Neuromancer and Snow Crash, old cyberpunk novels like that, and then games like Diablo 2 and Quake 3.
So have you guys played quite a lot of those games to kind of get an understanding of how to make a game that has quite a lot of RPG elements together?
I've played a lot of Diablo 3. I'm kind of like one of the I think I'm the only human being I know who like never played Diablo 2 and didn't like it, I guess. But Diablo 3 for some reason, it's because I like using a controller.
It's just too late to go back.
Yeah, like I played Diablo 3 and loved it on Xbox, and Garrett was like, "Okay, well, Diablo 2 is even better. Let's go back and play it." And I'm like, "This is terrible." So, but which I know I lose a lot of like gamer points for not liking Diablo 2, but
Can't handle that 800 by 600 resolution.
no, not at all. It's not for me. But yeah, definitely played a lot of that. Garrett, I know for a fact, has played a lifetime.
Yeah,
worth
I mean,
of
it wasn't
Diablo
so much
2.
that I was playing. I just played a lot of those in the first place, and then I made the game. It wasn't like I decided, I'll
It
make
wasn't
an RPG.
purely research. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, looking at the screenshots, of course, the enemies are sort of, as you mentioned, spider-like, jellyfish. What was the inspiration behind their design?
Well, I wanted you to know right away that these are things that you need to shoot and kill. I didn't want you to have any qualms about like, oh, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, is this
here?
a bad guy or not? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
usually people have very strong reactions to spiders.
Yeah, and I get night terrors of spiders sometimes. So for me, it's kind of personal.
It's kind of conquering your phobias then.
Yes.
And of course, with the RPG elements that you've kind of implemented into that, is it purely like hack and slash, or is it also like weapons and lasers and power-ups?
Oh, well, it's definitely weapons. I mean, all the weapons are ranged right now. But yeah, so it's just a bunch of different types of laser things, like, Star Wars style lasers. Then there's one that's kind of like it's a las gun, which is like a beam laser. It's kind of like a laser flamethrower, I guess is a decent way to describe it.
Nice.
And then like a throwing disc and a bunch of like fireball projectiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then going back to like the Diablo influences, the loot is all randomized, so there's always going to be like a better weapon to find, no matter like what level you are, that sort of thing.
That's cool. Do the weapons scale up depending on your level, or are they completely random in what level they could be?
So they scale based on the difficulty of the server that you hacked.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, it's a risk reward thing. The bigger the server, the harder the enemies, but the better the loot that you can get.
So how would the player go about like choosing the difficulty? Is it kind of like any other game where you say I want to start medium, easy, medium, or hard, or does it randomize the difficulty of the server that you put in?
So when we say server, like when you're in the game, there's a bunch of buildings, right? And those buildings are representations of corporate servers. So you just walk up to the bigger they are, the harder they are. And then you can also
when you mouse over it, you can see it'll say hack difficulty and it'll give you a number. And they start at 1, and then the end server is 100. So that's kind of the range of difficulty that you're working with when you first start the game. You can, when you, like, let's say if you beat it and you want to play again, you can set the base difficulty to something higher.
Oh, that's cool. Can the player, because I'm looking at kind of a map of the kind of maybe one of the overworld, could the player go anywhere in that map at any given time, or do they have to kind of beat certain servers before they can progress into other areas?
So right now they can go anywhere. It's completely open world. It's also procedurally generated, and the world can be or is infinite.
Even in multiplayer.
Yeah, even in multiplayer. So you can just keep walking and hack whatever you like. We are playing with the idea of maybe having areas of the map walled off. Things that you have to...
Yeah, you got to break through the firewall to get into certain areries that have better loot or more something that you're looking for a quest, maybe.
That's very cool. I like that, actually. I also love the fact you can go anywhere. Like, personally, I'm a a glutton for punishment, so I would definitely go for the hardest one straight away to test my luck.
Nice. Oh, good. People love to do that.
Yeah, you'll definitely die, but
it'll be fun.
Yeah, and it's the player level roughly correlates with the server level, so you kind of want to level up before you can get the big ones. They're very much RPG elements in there.
And of course, you mentioned multiplayer. How does that fit into the game?
So it's mostly co-op, right? So like one person can start a hack, and then there's instance loot, so everybody gets their own loot when you break in. But
and we also have PvP.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the focus isn't on PvP, but a lot of people requested it, so it's just
we have it.
Two teams.
The main focus is co-op, and I think one of the draws of playing multiplayer, playing co-op, is it kind of lets you create a different type of character that you wouldn't normally create for a single player game. So when you're in multiplayer and you're playing a co-op game, only one person needs to initiate the hack. And when you're hacking in our game, you have to stay, there's a radius that forms around you and the server. You have to stay inside that circle the whole time you're killing the enemies trying to finish your hack. In the multiplayer game, only the person who starts the hack has to stay inside that circle. So everybody else can be outside of it. So you can spec your character to have like really long weapon range, and you can focus on only finding snipers, and you can maybe go up on top of a building that's kind of further away and snipe, and that's not something you'd be able to really do too well in a single player game.
Yeah, you can, but it's more difficult for sure.
Yeah.
And or instead of sniping, you could just get a bunch of minions and have all your pets go and kill things for you.
Yeah, that's how I like to do multiplayer. I like to focus on, like, I don't even have a tool to hack or a weapon that shoots. Like, I just have minions that I summon. Ooh. It's my own personal army.
So what do these minions look like?
They look like the enemies, but they're chrome, so that you can tell them apart from...
Nice. Can you control them, like tell them to go to certain areas, or do they latch on to the nearest enemy?
Yeah, they just kind of do their own thing. And the thing that I like, there's no friendly fire. Because sometimes it is really hard, like, especially when you've got a lot going on, they kind of get lost in the mix of bad guys.
Or if you've got, like, a rocket launcher, for instance.
Yeah, so there's no splash damage on them. Like, they'll be okay. And they work more like items than they do like pets. So they have a health, and then once they die, you just press the button to bring them back, and they come back.
Right.
And then they will like better minions will drop, so you'll just replace that minion with a better one.
Right. All the items in the game are also abilities. So when you hack a server and break in and find stuff to pick up, you might find just money to go and buy more stuff, or you might find a shotgun, or you might find a jetpack, or a healing item, that sort of thing.
That's cool. So there's a verticality to it then. It's not just like you're on the floor. They literally, you mentioned a jetpack. Could you get on top of some of the servers, or is it more just kind of?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh wow.
Now the enemies will climb right up on after you.
Yeah, it used to be they couldn't in the early days, and that wasn't good. So we had to make it a little bit more difficult for people who choose to go up and away.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of playtesting over time.
Yes.
I can imagine actually. Like, is there a limit? Is there like a limit to the jetpack's kind of height, or can you literally go up to the tallest building?
So the jetpacks work kind of similar to the way they do in Halo. So they have like a
cooldown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and I keep having to nerf them actually because
people are we're amazed at how far people can go with what little we give them in terms of jetpacks, though.
Right. I'm like, they'll be able to get, 40, 50 feet up in the air, then they have to come down. And it's like, nope, not when they jump from that building to that one. And then,
where they time it just right. And
Yeah.
Love it. Players hacking a game that's all about hacking.
Exactly.
Yeah. They seem to think that that's like perfectly cool. I don't know.
That's like the point. That's what we want them to do.
Kind of
like,
unfair.
no, don't.
Although I
That's
do.
cool, though.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of like modding, and players can hack their saves. I mean, it'll mark them as a cheater, but you can go in and just edit your save as if it were a text file and change things around and actually create new types of items.
Wow, that's a really cool idea, actually. I hope you keep that. It's something that I haven't really seen other games do, the idea of the player, because it is about hacking, of course, the player being able to hack their own version of their game and customize it to their liking is really cool.
Yeah, and they've come up with some really cool weapons, like things that
Did you see the
really
one?
surprising.
It was a bunch of little missiles that had like really slow like projectile speed, but they all had homing, so they would just like kind of swarm
very
around.
slowly make their way over to...
Right, it was really cool looking.
Like, I'm picturing like a really, really slow motion but aggressive needler from Halo.
Yes.
And so, what has been the hardest part of development so far?
Ooh.
Just the scope of it, like it's really just me doing all the code, and it's been, if you're making games out there and you're listening to this, don't make your first game a first-person shooter or an RPG, and definitely or a multiplayer
Or have multiplayer,
game.
yeah. Don't do anything.
And probably
that we
don't do a 3D game either. So and then definitely don't do all of those mixed into one game.
Yeah.
Because
Especially if you're just one person, the way Garrett is just one person. Like it's a lot. It's been a lot. And then you get excited and you want to add so much more.
Right.
And then the second you start getting positive feedback and good ideas from other people, you want to like please everybody and give them all the things that they want. And it's just,
I mean, of course you can't
yeah,
please everyone.
it grows out instead of up. And yeah.
And so how's it been kind of implementing multiplayer to that? Because we've had people before saying that's a huge task alone, just trying to implement some sort of multiplayer, whether it be local or is it online your multiplayer, isn't it, as well?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. How has that been? Because that must be quite a bit of a hurdle to overcome, and the code, I can imagine, is quite complicated.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm using a plugin called Photon that makes a lot of things easier. Like players don't have to do any port forwarding, that sort of thing, and all the games can be seen publicly from anybody who's playing the game. But the code is still complicated. You have to deal with like what do you want to do if there are conflicts? What data exactly are you going to sync, and how are you going to make things deterministic? And then, of course, every time I make any new mechanic in the game, I have to think about, well, it'll work in single player, but is it going to work in multiplayer? And then you have to go and test it.
So yeah, it must be a lot of testing.
Yeah.
It's a multiplier to the amount of work that you have to do.
I would say that it's definitely been worth it. I feel like even when you consider like we don't really have too many people playing multiplayer, but a lot of people want it. Like they just want to know that it's an option.
Well, right. I mean,
so seeing it
the point of
available is enough that they're like, good, yeah, cool. Like they're not getting that from too many indie games.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the point of it isn't to be like Call of Duty where you can sign on and there's a bunch of different people to play against. The point of it is that if you want to be, you're just looking for some loot, you want your friends to be able to show up and you want to be able to pass loot around, you want to be able to, play with them and just having a shared experience.
Right.
And that's really what it's set up for.
So a bit like Sunset Overdrive sort of multiplayer, if you've played any of that co-op side of things.
I really haven't. But, kind of like in Diablo, any sort of like loot game, you want to be able to bring your friends with you.
Yeah, of course. Games are better with friends, aren't they, really, at the end of the day?
Yes, that's exactly what we're going for.
And so Black Ice is on early access, is that right?
That's right.
Yes. How did that go? How was the launch?
It's been good.
Yeah, I feel like really positive, which we feel really lucky to have people be as positive as they have been.
Almost all positive feedback. I try to be really open with everybody. I sometimes do game dev streams on Twitch where I just show people what I'm doing. I have a public to-do list that people can go and comment on and upvote things.
Yeah, and I think that visibility is what's helped us kind of get through being on early access relatively unscathed, because I know it's those words, put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and it shouldn't, not every time. And so like it was a worry that I had, especially like just that, okay, I know people don't like early access. There are people out there that really hate it, and are they just going to blanket hate us for no reason other than we're early access? But we've been,
it turns out, really a couple
lucky.
of people.
Yeah, but very, very few. Very, very few. But just, like at conventions and things, when people find out we're early access, overwhelmingly positive. I would say super, like I can count on one hand the number of people who, to me personally, have voiced displeasure with us being early access. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's thank God.
Yeah, it's been crucial to get help and feedback too.
Yeah.
It's really been helpful.
Definitely. So how are you finding the community's response? Is it shaping the game development now then? As you did mention about the multiplayer and the jetpacks, how far has the community sort of made the game into the way it is now?
Oh, totally. A lot. There have been, a lot of player suggestions that I put into the game. The dark servers, for instance, which they're servers that are just completely black and they're kind of hard to see, but when you hack them, all the enemies that come out are cloaked.
Yeah, and you don't know how difficult the server is, so you're kind of taking a chance.
You kind of have to estimate, based on the size.
So that was like a player idea recommendation, and
right,
like hardcore mode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they help with balance to some extent, although I'm not really focusing on balance, because I'm still trying to add major features to the game and different mechanics. So it's kind of hard to go back and like rebalance that every once in a while, but that's why most of my balancing is done through spreadsheets so that I can easily change things.
And of course, you mentioned this must have a lot of testing. Is that how you get a lot of that feedback, really, on how things are going, or do you also go to conventions and test there? Or what's the methodology?
Conventions is I would say our biggest like testing ground. For me, anyways. I don't know if Garrett feels the same way, but
at least for the beginning of the game.
I feel like it's the quickest and easiest way to find out what a player's initial response is to our game. Is just having them sit down, and the second they load in, what are they thinking? What do they like? What do they dislike? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you before you even ask what they like and don't like. And so I really cherish that opportunity to go to conventions and get all that feedback.
Right.
And definitely there's been feedback from conventions that, has pushed us to make changes or pushed us to add new ideas and things like that.
Yeah.
Which ones have you found to be the most helpful? Like you guys have, you just went to GDC a couple of weeks ago, and I know you've been to PAX. Just like out of the ones that you've been to, which ones would you say are the most?
That's a good question. GDC in particular, we don't count just because we didn't show the game at GDC. GDC is more of like a business trip for us. That's more of just like, it's almost more like a professional development.
Yeah, it's learning and connections.
Yeah, so that's, we go to GDC for our own personal, business stuff.
And of course,
it's less about
Christine
the game.
Yeah, Christine
I did do a talk at GDC, and that was really great. But
nice. What was the talk about, if you don't mind me asking?
It was framed as kind of like a postmortem on Black Ice, but I kind of reworked it to be like what I have learned in my time in indie development, and how can I teach, those who want to get into the industry, just like, you should do this, or you should think about doing this, or don't do this, and that sort of thing. And it went really well. People really responded positively to it. They had a lot of questions for me, so that was really good. I love answering questions.
Yeah, and it's available for free on the GDC Vault, so anybody can watch it.
Yeah, if you go to
nice.
the GDC Vault website, I'm there.
I'll be doing that later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you just search Black Ice, it should come up. It was a panel. It was me and 2 other devs, and we each took a turn talking about our games. I'm the first speaker on there, so.
Very cool. And so you mentioned, of course, going to GDC and stuff. That's generally quite expensive. How have you supported yourselves throughout the kind of design process?
Well, I mean, I've got a day job still, so that's helped quite a bit, and that's been super crucial. So that we don't have to make risky financial decisions based on we didn't have to add microtransactions to the game, for instance, because we were able to make money. But for the most part, it's been bootstrapping the game. I was selling the game on itch.io for a long time before it got on Steam, and it's been in Steam Early Access for a while. So most of what we put into the game is from early access sales.
That's very cool. And have you noticed that it's kind of increased throughout time? Like the longer it's been on there, has the public kind of gotten bored?
It's actually been pretty good. So obviously you get like a big spike at the beginning, right when it's on the front page and everything. But like every sale seems to be doing pretty well, and the base level of sales is pretty constant. Like the long tail that they talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been treating us really nicely.
Oh, very good, very good. Have you ever looked at stuff like Kickstarter or finding a publisher as well, so you could kind of quit the day job and work full time on the dev?
Kickstarter, no.
I feel like people don't look at the actual. People don't know what the actual cost of game development is.
Yeah.
As far as quitting my day job, I'd have to make like a significant amount of money for it to be worth it.
I actually, not to spoil my talk, because I know you said you'd watch it later. But yes. my big point is if you're going to do indie development, do not quit your day job. Do not quit your day job. Like, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not going to make anything easier. You're not going to make that much money if you make money at all. Like, don't quit your day job. So yeah, in that vein, we're not making any steps towards being able to, quit the day job. It would be nice, but I feel like you really need to expect a lot from your game financially before you can even think about having that be
there's
bread and butter.
There's a big opportunity cost there.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so what's kind of your marketing strategy for the game? You've mentioned conventions, of course, and like Twitch live streaming, but how else would you recommend marketing a game, really? For an indie dev, what would you say are the key points, the key things they need to do?
Well,
Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We put the game on IndieDB and GameJolt early to get a lot of, just put the demo on there to get views from people. And then just, you got to give people a reason to care about your game. So for me, I like putting crazy GIFs on Twitter.
Definitely focusing on visuals. If you're tweeting anything, include a picture, include a GIF, include something. So it's not just a little line of text that people scroll past. But Twitter, I feel like Garrett in particular is really good at. Sorry, my cat's trying to lay down on the microphone. She does not like that she's not getting attention right now. So what was I saying? Oh, Twitter, yeah. One thing that we didn't do that I think we should have, it might be too late, is Tumblr. Tumblr's really, really good if your game has an interesting or like striking visual style. You're going to find a good home on Tumblr. We didn't do that for our game. I feel like we should have.
I've seen some devs set up dev blogs through Tumblr, which is.
I had no idea Tumblr was that popular.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 bag from what I can see. Like, setting up a dev blog is really helpful, especially if you've got good GIFs. I mean, like Doko Roko like found a lot of success through like GIFs, and the same with Megasphere. Like, their GIFs were just doing like gangbusters on Twitter and Tumblr, but it depends. I mean, if it's a game that's really heavily like focused on narrative, it's not going to translate that well to Tumblr.
Right.
But yeah, if it's a really visual game that looks really cool.
And like the first question you'll always get on like Tumblr is, what can I have sex with?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you pick your battles. Tumblr's not always going to be the best fit, but
it's a bit of a weird experience being on Tumblr.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Like...
And I mean, it's the same way with any. I feel like Reddit's the same way.
Yeah.
We posted on a few.
Yeah. It depends.
That's the next frontier.
It depends on which subreddit you're on. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely varies from subreddit to subreddit, and I feel like Tumblr is kind of the same way, and Twitter to in a way.
Yeah, so the game dev subreddit, I got a lot of early feedback from there, and that was really great in terms of like honing the core mechanic and making sure it was fun, and making sure that people could, actually learn the game. Because at first, I just put text on there like, here's how you play, like walk up to a building and hack it, and then people just didn't read that text. And then I put a tutorial in, and then people wouldn't read that either. So what I learned is that people don't read.
They don't. They won't. They don't care.
So you have to be like super obvious about things.
About what to do, how to play the game, yeah.
Teaching through play.
Yes, exactly. Which is, it's good, but it's infuriating.
Yeah.
And you mentioned mechanics, of course, and that you're going to still implement new mechanics. Any idea, can you kind of give us a few hints of what you're working on at the moment for the game?
So quests, for one. There's right now, it's basically just, get loot, get stronger, hack harder things. But quests will give you like a reason to go over and hack that particular thing, that other thing. I'm working on visually distinguishing servers more. So I actually coming up in the next patch will be like ziggurat sort of structures where, like a trapezoidal thing coming up and then stacked up on the other ones. And then, I got a bunch of ideas on how to do stuff like that. And then, of course, I want to do more guns and more stuff like that. But yeah, the firewall idea that I was talking to you all about, yeah, that's something that I haven't put in yet, but I'd really like to.
Nice. And of course, with quests comes story. Is there like going to be an overarching story for the game, or mini stories that kind of feed into the narrative, of the overall experience?
Sure. So I was working on like a main plot. We have a main character, Mako, and she's in like the poster art of our game, and she's not physically in the game yet. We have the character models, but we haven't implemented them yet. And so basically, we've kicked around some ideas of how to tell her story. You're playing as her. Who is she? What are her motivations? What is she doing? Why is she hacking? I guess we've the way the game is set up now, you don't really need a reason to hack, but we want to give you one.
Yeah, some people need that, some people don't. It's interesting. There's different types of players.
Yes. And so what we've found in terms of like a story is that we want to keep even the main storyline optional. What we found through just playtesting and feedback is that people really like to just jump into our game and kind of get lost in it.
Yeah, just even if you only have 10 or 15 minutes to play, you can come in and hack a couple of things, get some XP, get a couple of new items, and feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah, and that's not the kind of player who's going to enjoy an unskippable cutscene or, or a quest that they have to complete before they can do something that they would find fun or cool. So we want to have that main story there, have these quests for people who want to do them, and they can. But if you don't want to do them, if you just want to, jump in and hack a bunch of stuff, you can do that too.
So kind of like the Dark Souls way of doing a story where it's there, but you have to find it.
Yeah. I think the idea that we were focusing on was kind of just having it be like an email system. So you would get an email, and in your inbox would be something that would spark a quest, and you can accept it or not.
Yeah,
and then...
like in real life, some people let their emails pile up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have, let's just quickly check my phone, and I'll tell you exactly how many emails I have piled up.
Oh, no.
Okay, I have 10,351.
Whoa!
Man, I hate notifications like sitting there for me. Like I have to clear all of them. It's terrible.
Well, 90% of that will be just junk mail, just rubbish that comes through.
Oh no! Okay.
Fair enough.
I try to keep my inbox at 0.
I tried, but of course, when you sign up for
at
these
that
things...
point, no, I don't blame you. Just give up like that. There's no way. You'd have to set aside a whole week.
Nuke it from orbit. It's the only way.
Yeah, get a new account. It's over.
Exactly. If only I could do what you could in a game and just completely decimate the emails.
Yep.
So, What are you most looking forward to for the rest of 2016?
I'm hoping we get to full launch this year.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're quite going to hit it. I'm working on it.
Yeah. It would be nice. It would be nice to get out of early access this year.
Yeah. And, depending on the reception, even after launch, I'd like to add more features. Because it's so modular. I can just keep adding guns and stuff. I'm so excited.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed actually, like a lot of people do say that you can bring it out and then, of course, you can add stuff to it because that's what gamers want almost and expect these days, isn't it? That people continue to edit stuff and add content.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends though, because a lot of games these days also have additional revenue streams for the people that are still working on them, right? So, like if a game's got a subscription or if it's got microtransactions of some sort, that's how you fund further development on the game. But if the game sells a certain number of copies and then just nobody keeps buying it, then I really can't afford to keep. Although I guess I've got the day job, so
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't give that day job up.
Nope.
So are you going to think of moving it from Steam afterwards onto consoles? Like it's very kind of VR looking. Would you ever think about doing a VR version?
Yeah.
Okay. Consoles, yes. VR, no. I did do it. I did try it out in VR. We actually got a Rift to try it out, and it's been it was interesting, and it was really terrifying to see the spiders come at your face and get really close to you. That was scary, but in order to make the Rift not super nauseating, you don't want to have to move the camera around a whole bunch. You don't want to, get knocked around.
There's a list of things that you don't want to do in your VR game, and we do all of them.
Yeah.
The big one being walking backwards.
Yeah.
Which is so much of our play style, or the way our players choose to handle combat in our game, that we've made it a perk where you get bonus damage if you don't walk backwards. You get bonus damage if you walk forwards.
Right.
Because people will run backwards in a circle and shoot because they're being chased by spiders. And so yeah, because that's such a knee-jerk, play style reaction to our game, VR is not gonna be good.
No, I could see that. I could see players going a bit as you said, their head would sort of roll and fall off because you'd be kind of going everywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we could do it, but we'd have to change the game so much that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Totally, I can understand that.
But yeah, and consoles after the PC launch, yeah, maybe.
Do it. I personally love consoles, so I.
Same. Yeah, I'm a console person as well. So
Well, the game already has.
we have controller support.
Right.
So
Well, it's a must, isn't it? Then it's a done deal. You've already got the pads in there.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah, there you go. Done.
You'd be surprised
ship
at
it.
all the other stuff that you need.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Sadly, there is a bit more.
Yeah.
We are aware of what goes on to making a console release of a game, so we're only jesting here. We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
We don't think it's that easy.
I wish we knew before we started trying to get that ball rolling. It was a little
That's
a
one
little
of
bit
the
of a rude
reasons-
awakening
Yeah.
once we started focusing on console stuff.
Totally. And so, of course, apart from your own game and making, Black Ice as perfect as possible, what other kind of projects or developers that you kind of would recommend to our listeners to take an eye on really and look at?
Oh, okay. My friends two of my friends released games this week or last week. So some of my friends in town made a game called Looty Dungeon, which is it's like if Crossy Road was a dungeon crawler.
Nice.
So that's on iOS and it's free and it's really fun. And then my other friend released a game called, and this is actually a guy named Nonadecimal who helps out with Black Ice from time to time. And he made a game called Automata Empire, which it's an RTS where all of your troops are cellular automata, so they have a mind of their own, and you just kind of guide them. And they'll reproduce if you get enough of them in a certain spot. So it's really fun little RTS game.
That sounds really, really cool, actually.
Yeah, that one's on Steam.
And if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see all the bazillion games we're playing and trying to hype up and stuff. I'm just gotten into Stardew Valley right now, so that's kind of my life. Yeah, I'm stuck. I am all Stardew Valley all day.
Addicted.
Yeah, it's starting to get dangerous, I think. Like, I'm going to need to start setting alarms on my phone to remind me to eat or bathe. But
Go to bed. It's 4 a.m.
yeah, pretty much. But it's so good, and I make cauliflower. What fun! Like, it's everything I've ever wanted in a game with vegetables.
I don't want to do it in real life. I don't want to actually, go in the back gardening, but in
No, not
reality,
at all. I am not a green thumb. I kill everything I touch. But in Stardew Valley,
you're a whiz.
I have a sustainable ecosystem.
And,
Nice.
And if you like Black Ice, there's a game called Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball, which has a lot of. It's also neon. It's a first-person shooter, but it's a dodgeball game. So everybody's a robot, and you shoot dodgeballs at each other, and one hit kills you, and it's a fun little game.
I will have to check that out, definitely. I do love the neon art style, the very kind of futuristic Tron-like look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so where can our listeners follow you? Where can they kind of get in touch?
So we are at Black Ice the Game on Twitter. Christine is...
I am at ChrisTX.
Right, and then I've got a personal account that's at SuperDuper GC. And we're on Steam, itch.io, let's see, twitch.tv/Black Ice the Game. That's a one.
Yeah, that's where he does his dev streams and stuff.
Nice.
And then just our website, superdupergc.com.
Very cool. On the dev streams, is there any particular day that you'll be doing them, or?
So I don't have a set schedule for those, unfortunately, because of my day job.
Shame.
But yeah, if you follow the channel, you'll get the notifications. And I also tweet about it when I'm going to be streaming.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Al, do you want to kind of roll out the awkward outro?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we've been Huge Update, and we've been talking to Garrett and Christine. It's been great listening to you guys. Kind of wanted to talk more about your experiences with cons and all, but we'll catch you another time about that because.
Sure. Yeah, I can go on for hours about conventions. That's one of my favorite things to talk about and talk to other, developers about, or people who want to get into indie development. Conventions is I could do a whole convention on conventions.
We might have to have you back on then, just for that particular.
Please
kind of
do.
topic.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'll have to get you after. Oh man, I got a convention coming next week that I've got to go to, and then sort out other stuff for one I'm apparently putting on at some point in the next couple of months.
Oh gosh, busy.
Yeah, I love doing busy stuff, but yeah. I do. I also want to just reiterate just the fact of what you just said there in the early part of the interview. It is a really key thing that I don't think a lot of indie developers actually talk about, but it is very crucial, which I gotta praise you guys for actually saying. This is a passion, but please don't put yourself under the bus for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's honestly what my whole talk at GDC was about. I'm kind of reworking it to focus more on that, and I'm surprised at how, like you said, how few developers, kind of get real talk about it and say hey, you don't need to do that. And it's very romanticized, the whole not just in video games, but with any kind of art or creativity to oh no, you're so much more passionate if you put everything into your craft, into your art, and those are the people who really care. And it's not it's stupid.
Yeah,
So-
and you definitely can't put 100% into the game. You need to, for one, you need to take time and be with your family. You need to spend a lot of time on marketing the game too, if you want anybody to play it at all. There's too many people think that if you make a good game that the word will just spread, but even good games don't get spread that well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only Stardew Valley didn't happen, then that argument
I know.
could hold water.
See, the good thing about having Stardew Valley is it prevents me from getting burnt out on my own game, and you need that. You need to take time away and do anything, do your day job, hang out with your friends, family, play Stardew Valley all the time.
Virtual gardening.
Yes, virtual gardening.
Playing other games counts as research.
Yes.
Yes,
So
I agree on that one.
Yes, you can feel really good about that.
100%. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on, though. It's been fantastic to kind of know more about your, kind of the dynamic you two have, and of course, Black Ice the game.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
And
no
we'll
problem.
definitely have to be back about the convention stuff.
Yes, and then have me back again to talk about not quitting your day job and
Yes.
We're just going to monopolize your podcast.
Yeah, it's just every episode should just be us from now on.
Yeah, this is the Super Duper podcast.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Thanks for listening, everyone.
yeah, you guys can have fun setting this up every week. I'm all right with that. But yeah, I'd just like to say that this has been Huge Update. You can find us at Huge Update on Twitter. You can find me at Alistair Oss on Twitter. You can find Peter at Peter J. Morris on Twitter. We also now have a YouTube account that's back up and active, which this will be on in about a day's time. Also on our website, which is hugeupdate at .squarespace.com as well. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for leaving all the messages of like comments, likes, subscribes, and all the other stuff that I meant to be saying at this point. But we're going to say goodbye now. So everybody say goodbye really awkwardly.
Bye.
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 Bye. Mine.